Hi, I'm Tony Poland. I'm going to do a Transversus Abdominus exercise, but this exercise is intended to separate the neuromuscular process for the hip flexors versus the core. Transversus is the innermost layer of the abdominal core. It's the most important layer for protecting the spine. And when your core atrophies, when we lose our strength in our core, the brain will recruit the hip flexors to do the job of the core. It can do some of the parts that it needs to stabilize, but it only overworks the hip flexor and makes it tighter, stronger, and kind of takes over for the core muscles, and the core muscles atrophy more, and you wind up with low back pain. So this is intended to separate the neuromuscular process and strengthen the transversus abdominis, again, because it's the most important muscle for the core, for the stabilization of the spine, and separate out the process for hip flexor contraction. By giving the hip flexors something to do, we're going to challenge the core separate from that. And I must say, if it hurts, if any exercise hurts, find some help. Don't keep doing something that hurts because you're only going to cause more problems. So that said, let's get to the exercise. So I'm going to lay back on my back. I'm going to bring my legs straight up, knees locked, toes pulled in, and then I'm going to lower my legs to about 45 degrees. If this is too challenging for you, then you can bend your knees. That makes it easier. You just need to make sure that your knees are lower than your hips so that your hip flexors still have something to do in holding your legs up. Notice my feet are not on the floor. So again, I prefer 45 degrees here. And then you're going to pretend that you're holding a tray. You come up as high as you can, leaving your low back on the floor. And then at that top range, we're going to do tiny little half-inch crunches at the very tip top. You want to try to prevent your feet from moving very much. They will move a little bit, but if they're doing this, that's your hip flexor working instead. So again, feet stay as still as you can make them. Tiny little half-inch crunches at the top of that range. Do as many as you can without going into pain, obviously. Rest for 30 seconds and repeat. And do that every 2 or 3 days, and you'll find that you have a much stronger core very quickly.